family all around me. He my family, she my family, he my family, she my family, he my family, she my family, we are family. We might have the same last name, but that don't make you my family. I got some people with the same blood, and I know that they can't stand me. I got some people I call that ain't kin, that's gonna pull up and handle it. They take care of that business like family. We come from them trenches like family. They talking, you listen, that's family. They don't tell your business, that's family. They calling your phone, coming looking for you. They say that you missing, that's family. They don't need permission, that's family. When you hurt, they can feel it, that's family. Let them come while you're cheering, that's family. Let them come when you living, that's family. Family all around me. Family all around me. He my family, she my family, he my family, she my family, he my family, she my family. We are family all around me. Family all around me. He my family, she my family, he my family, she my family, he my family, she my family. We are family. Hey, ain't nobody fighting around here. Ain't nobody shooting around here. Everybody that's around here, family. All love, no hate, be clear. No shade, all love, be real. You love me, you should know how it feel. Tired of all these badass kids. Tired of paying all these bills. Family going through the same thing, so they know exactly how you feel. They supply a shoulder I can cry. I provide a place where they can heal. Leave my money out, they don't steal. Let them have it if it's for a bill. Soldier for me when they in the field. Only way I live, family all around me. Family all around me. He my family, she my family, he my family, she my family, he my family, she my family. We are family all around me. Family all around me. He my family, she my family, he my family, she my family, he my family, she my family. We are family. We might have the same last name, but that don't make you my family. I got some people with the same blood, and I know that they can't stand me. I got some people I call that ain't kin, that's gonna pull up and handle it. They take care of that business like family. We come from them trenches like family. Family all around me.
We not CUC, no, or F.O.P.E, no, or ADUIC, neither. They wanna be like us, you know you're not like us. You not HBG, you IUIC, UGOCC. No, you not like us. No, you not like us. All these camps be talking about nothing. Why is they frontin'? They never follow commandments, they jump to assumptions. We spinning facts and they running. They wanna be like us. You not HBG. They wanna talk and debate. We already know you gon' lie in they face. Grown ass men be acting like women, and grown ass women be acting like men. Damn, you wanna be like Glorilla? We all know you never stick to a scripture. I'ma start calling y'all brother Nathaniel. You worshiping idols with Yahweh depictions. Whoever got ears, yeah, I let them hear it. You talking to God like you don't fear him. You about to get burnt if you not serious. Proverbs 3:7, they must be delirious. Disrespecting the tribe like is you fried? They want smoke like you the most high. Stay off the weed, clear your mind. Don't believe what they say, just believe in Yah. CUC, or F.O.P.E, or ADUIC, neither. They wanna be like us. You know you not like us. You not HBG. You IUIC. UGOCC. No, you not like us. Shout out to K. Jordan. He the one keeping it real. Y'all run away from my daddy. You acting like he pulling up with a steel. He tryna feed y'all knowledge. You don't wanna eat, you don't want a meal. Y'all be Deuteronomy 28, 48. Y'all still in the field. Y'all be deceivers for real. How you gon' lie to your people and act like you keeping the truth concealed? It's about time that y'all wake up. I've been reading Ezekiel 1 through 3 for real. On the mic since 3 for real. Stop trying to be like us. Not CUC, or F.O.P.E, or ADUIC, neither. They wanna be like us. You know you not like us. You not HBG. You IUIC. UGOCC. No, you not like us.
It's this only road that I'm walking. No company, no company. All the voices in my head won't stop it. My only company, my only company.
blood off my hands. The judgment coming fast, too much blood on his lane. The second Exodus is about to happen, he ain't playing. He's sending out the winds, on this rock we gon' stand. We gon' trust the Solarmind. Just to find the Bible was disconnected from the source, we done found the power. Messiah built the church back, gotta trust the founder. The carpenter, got the father with him, ain't no stopping you. Protected by the winds if you got his help with you. Stand on the narrow, the father gon' provide, y'all his eyes on the sparrow. Never seen the righteous get forsaken, not at all. The devil trying to take us cause he know he about to fall. Hey, Michael standing up in his hour, keep the laws. We gon' blow the trumpet, we ain't go to war with all. Messiah made a way, he laid it down for all flaws. We got the father with his Isaiah, stand tall. Protecting these commands, they at war with him. The dragon man cause the remnant about to score with him. The children of the prophets, we done finally hockey. The law is the light, got us out the darkness. Return to the Father, ain't no other options. We let Messiah in, we done heard him knocking. Worthy is the Lamb, ain't no better time, surrender all right now. Ain't no looking back, you ain't lot wife, hell no. Fit for the kingdom, ain't no way that he gon' fail y'all. Training up his kids, ain't no way we gon' derail y'all. The devil making war with the saints, man, he smell y'all. We gon' go to war about these commandments to the end. Protect my father word, this ain't no game, this ain't pretend. Messiah coming back, we study yelling, I repent. The angels on the corner, finally blowing out the wings. Ain't no other way to get protected but the blood. I'll put your mercy and your grace around us. Keeping these commandments, cause we know that's real love. Building up this ark, cause you send it out flood. What you see is hand upon this land, it's time to leave. Sodom and Gomorrah out of order, time to flee. Babylon gon' burn, every nation about to see. Messiah coming back, everybody to their knees. Every knee gon' bow. Boy, girl, child, y'all, he coming in the clouds. Thousands of years now, it's almost time now. The valley of the drought, we done came alive now. This for every nigga you done hung, every baby you done raped, everything that you done done. Ain't no way you gonna escape, ain't no way that you can run. You gon' see him face to face with a hill Babylon, but we can't.
Hey, Most High bless, act like you know. F.O.P.E. New School of Thought, CUC family, Honey Badgers family. Most High bless all of y'all to chat. You know what I mean? Everybody that's coming in, you know, please press the like, and everybody that may see this video later on, Most High bless you. You know, whatever you believe in, make sure you do it right. You know, but it is what it is. Hey, we got a special guest tonight. You know, but before he introduces himself, I want to make this announcement once again, because I want to this guy who he's really irrelevant, but I'm just going to say it anyway because I don't try to expose people all the time, and I've been real light on that devil over there, and I'm talking about Satan, the chicken man, right? Because I call him a chicken man because you keep focusing with me, the chicken's gonna come home to roost, and this is a special message going out to Nepal. And only you know I'm telling the truth what I'm about to say. Okay? When you and Sonetta was going through your stuff, your little business, since you want to talk crap about me, well, I got Sonetta or Son Nigga or Son Chicken on record saying he got pictures of you in the hot tub. Okay? In the hot tub. Right? And he told me everything. And guess what? I recorded the crackhead. Okay? Because you never trust the devil.
You might as well release that, John, bro. Why you
never trust the devil. Right? And I never trusted you, devil. I never trusted you. So I just done that to cover myself. So, hey, if you want to keep talking about me and everybody else, then I just released the recording. Right? Your voice. You saying what you saying, right? And you wanted to give me the picture, but a gentleman like I am, I said no. You know, so without further ado, the brother gonna go in and it is up to him if he want to take any questions. I am on a plantation, so my brother Shasham is going to work with you, Solarmind, to share your screen. I'm gonna be in and out. So it's up to you to take questions. How long you think this may take? You know, a little over an hour, hour and a
Yeah,
half,
about
whatever.
like an hour and a half. Yeah.
Okay, no doubt. If you want to take questions, that's on you. You can introduce yourself, and then let us know what you're about to go into. And also, brothers and sisters, we have a debate channel. You all know, right? F.O.P.E. ADUIC, New School of Thought, CUC. You know the alphabet crew, right? All these things. So, anybody want to have a conversation, you can have it over here on Naphtali channel or King Judah channel. In our new channel, the brother opened up the Honey Badgers. Honey Badgers are mean. Shut your mouth, Qanath. You know, y'all know what time it is. Without further ado, so am I. Holler at me.
Peace, peace, peace. What's good? What's good? As he said, I go by the name of Solarmind. Many people probably know me from the debate league that I was running for a few years, Solar Vision Debate League. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about eugenics and population control, and I'm going to give a sort of a historical overview of what kind of evolved into the eugenic movement. And I'm going to go back to Charles Darwin, and I'm going to work my way all the way up into what is currently going on today, pertaining to how they're using, their science in genetics to further subjugate us as a people. We gotta keep in mind. A lot of people, we have now come into an age where a lot of people are unaware of how the system is currently operating, and I think really after the 1960s, you begin to see a more covert form of racism be implemented within the hells of North America, and they like to hide a lot of things that they're doing by rewording things. And then we're going to get into that in a second. So that's pretty much a basic overview of what I'm going to be talking about tonight. So I'll be open to questions if time permits. So yeah, we'll be open to questions. I'll be going in for maybe an hour and a half. I got crazy slides. I'm gonna let y'all guys know. I got a lot of slides. We're not going to get through all the slides. So
we just got to do, hey, look, no problem. We just do a part 2. And if anybody sees something different, you could discuss it, not no debate. And then if something need to turn to a debate, then we'll just take it over to the discussion debate channel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But thanks again, brother, for coming on. And I know you're getting your channel back up, and I want everybody to support his channel. You want to get your channel out again, brother, or you want to do something new?
Yeah. Well, my channel is be Solar Vision. You can just type in Solar Vision, and I got various channels.
Yeah. Okay. So you decide which one you want to do, and then we see how we work, and then we all be a part of the team and go forward from there. So share your screen, and my brother gonna put it up, and I'm gonna mute out. I'm gonna be with you, but like I said, I'm on the plantation, so. If you call them, if I can't answer right away, you just say Shawshan, blah, 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 need whatever. And we go forward from there. And Mars, please keep sharing the screen once the board start, pushing up, because then the screen ought to go away. So, yeah. Hey, Most High bless Naphtali, I see in the building. And everybody else, bless y'all, man. So go ahead, Doc. It's on you, your show.
All right, so real quick, because I'm trying to share a screen. So is it slides? Let me see. Because I have it up already.
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, I'm just looking for the. Okay, so I think I got it. All right, hold on a second.
And brothers and sisters, please inbox myself, K Judah, Naphtali, that champ, Shawsham, If y'all want to come on the platform and bring out something that if y'all think we off on something, let us know, and we'll treat you fairly. Or something totally different. Like I said, we have another channel. It's going to be the debate channel where you could come on and talk about something other than the Bible. You can do that over here. Also, let's just everybody respect each other opinion. Queen Natalia, also the link in the room. You're welcome to come on the platform right now.
All right, so
okay, you got it.
I'm trying to pull up the actual PowerPoint. So hold on a second.
And it's going to be interesting, man, because we getting into trying to find out who everybody is on this damn planet. And right now, I think we've got a lot of new people, but Hey, bro, sisters, I want y'all to do me a favor and do something. I think if y'all want a project to do, because we always say all white people ain't the same. I've been doing some looking at these so-called Russians, and a lot of them look Mongolian, like they're from Mongolia. I know Mongolia sits between China and Russia, but if you look at, and there's not no lookership, but if you look at it and then do the DNA and customs and everything, the people are a little different. They got
an Asian mixture. It was a large Asian migration into Russia.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff that you were seeing, especially during like the time of the Nazis, was like a form of ethnic cleansing. Yeah. So they mixed in with some of them mixed in with the Asian population up there. They got very large.
Sharing now, brother. You can go do your presentation. You got it.
All right. Oh, so they could see?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're going to start off with this man. He goes by the name of Robert Malthus.
I'm sorry. 1 second. Hey, Shawshank, I'm going to jump off for a second because I got to make some rounds where I'm at. And then you see me in the back. You can bring me back in. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right. This man goes by the name of Robert Malthus, right? And Robert Malthus, as you can see, just basic information of this cracker right here. He wrote essays on the principles of population, and he proposed a theory. And that's why we gotta be hip to the terms that was established by these European intellectuals and theorists centuries ago, because they still kind of use his name passingly when you listen to maybe your local news. If they're talking about something concerning population, they'll say Malthusian. When they make the reference to like a Malthusian type of philosophy, they're referring to this individual, Robert Malthus, and he was a British scholar, and he wrote 6 editions on the essays on the principles of population. And he came up with a theory that, they call it the Malthusian trap or the Malthusian catastrophe. And according to his theory, he is suggesting that if left unchecked, the world's population can override its capacity to produce food, right? And it's a very interesting concept because we live for, thousands of years, where the populations didn't have this issue. And I think that this laid the foundation to the need of the European to overconsume. And when you're talking about the history of the European, it's a good book by Michael Bradley. It's called The Iceman Inheritance. In that book, he gives a theory of the fire and ice. And this is a cracker that wrote this book, and I find it to be very interesting. That he said, due to the fact that the European has been isolated for so long, and he lived in a very harsh environment where food was very scarce, and due to the fact that he could not really provide for himself, he formed a sort of a psychosis. And the psychosis was basically centered around his need to control or to hoard food, a sort of a necessity in an ice environment. But when you go and engage other groups of people, it becomes an issue. It's books that you can read about the Native Americans, and then when the European engaged the Native Americans, they begin to have issues based off of cultural norms and pertaining to resources, especially. And it'd be like, I think it was an example of a peach tree or an apple tree. And, the white man would say, well, whose tree is this? Because in his culture or in his environment, the person that, is able to take the food or, kill for the food or do whatever for the food, that's their food. But in a culture where food is more in abundance, is the Native American that that's everybody's tree. That's your tree. That's your apple tree. That's my apple tree. He said, "Well, so this is my apple tree." And, say, "Yeah." So the cracker will build like a fence around the tree and say that this is his tree, and that will be a conflict with the natives because their concept of owning things that nature produced, it was alien to them. They had their certain religious practices, and the Most High produce it, and it's for everybody. That's kind of how they view things. But the European had a different environment, and it's due to that environment that he began to form this psychosis. So going back to Robert Malthus, you see that he posed a theory that if left unchecked, the world's population could override its capacity to produce food. So he says that the earth, or that the universe, or naturally regulates its population through famine, disease, and war. So this laid the foundation for European colonialism, what would eventually result in European colonialism. Now, everybody knows who this cracker is. He goes by the name of Charles Darwin. Darwin was heavily influenced by this European philosopher, Thomas Robert Malthus. Is a little bit of information or the statement that he made pertaining to his studying of the writings of Robert Malthus. He says in October 1838, that is 15 months after I begun my systematic inquiry, I happened to read for amusement Malthus on population, and being well prepared to appreciate the struggle for existence, which everywhere goes on from long continued observations of the habits of animals and plants, it at once struck me that under these circumstances, favorable variations would tend to be preserved and unfavorable ones to be destroyed. The result of this would be the formation of new species. Here, then, I had at last got a theory by which to work. So basically what Charles Darwin is saying is that, well, if we're going to take the works of Robert Malthus for face value, if we believe that this is actually the case, that the world, regulates itself through famine, disease, and war, and that, the population, if left unchecked, can override its capacity to produce food, that would mean that through this famine, disease, and war, that the better species would survive. So in a case of a famine, the person with the stronger genetics will survive. In the case of disease, the person that is immune to the disease will survive. In the case of war, which is a very interesting concept because I don't know how nature produced war, but still yet, in the context of war, the stronger people will survive. So he's taking Malthus' theory and now applying it to a theory that he formulated, which would be survival of the fittest. And it would be in this book on the origins of species by means of natural selection, right? So in your current universities and colleges, they just leave that bold printed aspect of the title there. and they will delete what is at the bottom there. So we got an old version of the book, and it says, or the preservation of favorite races in the struggle for life. Who are the favorite races, and what is this struggle that he's talking about? So anybody who could read his book will see that he takes various species and he shows examples how, and this is literally what is in the book. He'll say, like, well, you have giraffes, and they tend to get fruit from elevated places, high trees, etc. So the giraffe with the longer neck will be the one to survive. And he gave, the same example for bats and even vegetables and fruits. And, he gave examples of the cabbage and, pretty much the species with the that's fireworks, that's not gunshots. So I am in the hood though. So the species with the stronger genes is going to be the one to survive. And he's using all these examples to prove a point though. And it goes over a lot of people head. I had conversations with anybody Unc from the I'm Rock Squad. He said, like, no, this ain't talking about humans. See, it's talking about giraffes. No, he's giving examples from other species to say that if this is the case with giraffes, if this is the case with
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
If this is the case with giraffes, if this is the case with cabbage and bats, etc., then that means that this has to be also the case for human beings. This is what he's actually saying, and this is what he actually is proving within this book. That's why it's subtitled The Preservation of the Favored Races in the Struggle for Life, right? So for those who are on the fence and trying to figure out Darwin's objective, he clearly was a racist. A lot of people, in Eurocentric academia, mainstream academia, they don't mention this fact that he clearly was a racist. And you can read his writings and see that he clearly was a racist. This is some of his statements. It says, at some future period not very distant as measured by centuries, the civilized races of man will almost certainly exterminate and replace the savage races throughout the world. Who is the savage races that he speaks of? And what does he mean by replace? We clearly know what extermination is. So once again, I want y'all to keep in mind and hold on to these statements that is being made by Charles Darwin. Because you have your Negropeans out there that actually take his works for face value. They actually follow this individual. They actually believe that he contributed to the progression of science. And they wonder why a person like myself called this the white man's science. What is the white man's science? Whenever the Europeans take something, he weaponizes it. There's not one thing or one form of technology that he owns or possesses that he does not weaponize. So what you're seeing is the advent of the white man's science. More statements from Charles Darwin. Well, this is the same statement, but this is a more in-depth version of the statement. It says, at some future period, not very distant as measured by centuries, the civilized races of man will almost certainly exterminate and replace throughout the world the savage races. At the same time, the anthropomorphous apes, as Professor Schaffenhausen has remarked, will no doubt be exterminated. The break will then be rendered wider, for it will intervene between man and a more civilized state as we may hope then the Caucasian and some ape as low as a baboon, instead of at present between the Negro or Australian and the gorilla. I find it very interesting that the European, and this is how somewhat the European, the beast, he has an advantage over us as a people, because we speak his language. So some people may not totally grasp what is being said here, and rightfully so. This is not our damn language, and he uses certain words in certain contexts that may go over our head. We may have a general understanding of what he's saying, but what he actually is saying, I'm gonna go over it again. At some future period, not very distant by measures of centuries, a civilized racist man will almost certainly exterminate and replace throughout the world savage races. That's pretty obvious. But then he goes on to say, at the same time, anthropomorphous apes, as Professor Scoffenhausen has remarked, will no doubt be exterminated, right? So the anthropomorphous apes, right? He then goes on to expound on what he means when he makes that statement. The break would then be rendered wider. So what he means by the break is, you see that little image of the monkey evolving to the man. Everybody knows that image, and I has it on the actual thumbnail to this stream. That will be the gap he's referring to. He's referring to the gap between ape and man, right? So he said the break will then be rendered wider, meaning that human beings, right, and apes, the gap will be rendered wider. And now he's saying, for it would intervene between man and a more civilized state, as we may hope, than the Caucasian and some ape as low as a baboon. So that is suggesting that the Caucasian is the apex of man. That is man at its apex. And I guess when the apes begin, it would be the gorilla, right? So everything in between will be the trickle down to what eventually will become the ape. This is what he's saying. Now, and so at this time, once the European has exterminated the savage races, the gap will be rendered wider. So if the European, which is the apex of man, the Caucasian, if he is to exterminate the Negro and the Australian, because those are kind of like half man, half ape type of species, what he's suggesting, then the gap will be rendered wider between ape and man. This is what he's saying. So once again, keep this in mind, because this served as the foundation to what you even see today. Everything is centered around this idea, and a lot of people don't know that. When you look at your local news, for example, and you see it said in other news, in the inner city, there were 3 black teens that ran into your local convenience store, and then they'll show the little footage of the black teens, with guns brandishing to the cashier. The cashier is horrified. They're snatching all types of stuff out of the grocery store, and then they run out. If you've seen these individuals, please call your local police. Now, are they showing that because they're really concerned about the society and the environment? No, they're not. That's not the reason why they're showing that, because crime goes on everywhere. You could go on to any poor white community and see the same thing. So the question would be, well, why do you constantly see blacks being portrayed that way in the media as opposed to the majority of the people in this country, which would be white? The reason why they show that is because they want to consciously and subconsciously convince you that Black people aren't just, they just not able to fit in civilized society. So within the civilized society, there's footage out here that look at how these niggas is operating. They're sad. What are we going to do about these black people that's constantly running into these stores? What are we going to do about this drug problem? What are we going to do about this gang violence? They're killing each other. So it clearly shows that they're incapable of properly functioning within a civilized society. So what do we have to do? We have to create prisons for them. We have to give them birth control. We have to lower their population. You see how everything is shaped around what initially these people were trying to do. And it's clearly a racist agenda. It's clearly an agenda that's centered around attacking cultures that they at this time don't understand, or they still have yet to really totally understand. So black people, due to the fact that they got a short attention span and they believe that this cracker got their best interests at heart, seem to overlook this reality. A lot of people think that we live in a post-racial society. A post-racial society, whereas though, we don't see any color no more. Some of y'all want to marry the beast and, think that, everything's all good. But do know that when you look at the prison system, the industrialization of the prison system, the fact that our women get abortions at a higher rate than any other group of women in the country, this propaganda that you see become mainstream, where they have this sort of gender war between the black man and the black woman, is all centered around this very fundamental fact that was laid out by Charles Darwin. This is his theory, and I want y'all to really understand this. His theory is that humanity cannot move forward until we get them out of here. They are holding humanity back. This is what he's saying in his statement. So this is why you see things like, almost, they manufacture a society that produce certain type of people. And this is getting into like psychology, and this is where you have, the importance of how we are portrayed in the media. Understand that all this shit is connected. All this stuff is connected. Francis Cress Welsing and Neely Fuller, and they talk about the system of white supremacy. And they say that this system encompasses areas of human activity: economics, education, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. So when you look at each of these categories, you will see that the agenda remains the same. And that agenda is to keep the black at the bottom and the white at the top. And it's to perpetuate this ongoing thing that transcends centuries. You see. And until we understand that, everything else is going to be confusing to us. We'll deal with each category. Okay, so we'll deal with each category like it's a separate entity. This is why they don't want you owning and controlling your community. Because communities, once they control, produce better families. Better families produces better children. Better children is innovation and productivity within the society. This is why they got to keep the family separated. This is why they put drugs into your community, because they want you to appear in a certain type of way. This is why they economically castrate the black man. They want to cause confusion within the family. So when that confused family that's being attacked by the puppeteers of society, when they begin to act out certain forms of oppression, then he'll cut on his camera and say, well, look at these niggas. They're savages, which falls right into the philosophers centuries ago. If you don't understand the system of white supremacy, everything else will only confuse you. More statements from Charles Darwin. He says, it is very true what you see about the higher races of men. And when we talk about the higher races, obviously, he already made that clear that it's the Caucasian. When high enough replacing and clearing off the lower races, in 500 years, how the Anglo-Saxon race will have spread and exterminated whole nations. Understand what this writing is. And this is the beginning of the science of the white man. This modern science is centered around these certain key fundamental points. You notice how everything within the society points to, well, I think black people should be having less children. Population control in all the nations of color. Yes, we need to lower the populations of Africa. And everything is centered around that. He goes on to say, in consequence, how much the human race viewed as a unit will have risen in rank. That goes back into what I was saying before. Humanity cannot progress unless we eliminate these half monkey humans, to be specific. Look at these niggas. They are holding humanity back. You know? This is where they get all this stuff from, I forget the name of the books where they what's the name of the book? I forget what the name of the books was, but they had these books that popped up in the 90s suggesting that on average the African American scores lower, African American child scores lower on his SATs, and this is like kind of pointing out I guess their attempt to point out the fact that black people aren't just on the same page as other races. So what are we going to do about this? More statements from Charles Darwin. It says, lastly, I could show fight on natural selection having done and doing more for the progress of civilization than you seem inclined to admit. Remember, what risk the nations of Europe ran not so many centuries ago of being overwhelmed by the Turks, and how ridiculous such an idea is now. The more civilized so-called Caucasian races have beaten the Turkish hollow in the struggle for existence, looking to the world at no very distant date. What an endless number of the lower races will have been eliminated by the higher races throughout the world. So, once again, he is setting down the playing field for European colonialism. That this is an ongoing fight. And until we understand that this is a fight for existence, everything else will only confuse you. I was watching a show that was done back in the late 80s, and it's had Huey P. Newton on the show, and Jawanza Kujufu. He was the guy that wrote the book Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. And in this TV show, they were talking about systemic racism. And there was a guy in the audience that was giving an example of how he was racially profiled. He was jogging in a predominantly white neighborhood, and he was stopped by the police. And as he gave his story, I think Huey P. Newton said, well, everybody else speaking but white men. White men aren't saying nothing the whole show. And they did not make one statement the entire show. They was in the audience, but they wasn't saying nothing at all. And Huey Newton pointed that out. Well, you got to ask yourself, why aren't white men making any comments within this whole thing? Because the way the guy was speaking, he was speaking in the terms of like, why are they racially profiling me? I'm just jogging. Why are they bothering me? You know, but from the standpoint of the white supremacist, he's looking at it like, well, I want you to be in fear when you're running through my neighborhood. I want you to be that way. So really, it's mission accomplished. I have absolutely nothing to say about that. So his silence said a lot. And it shows how we are unaware of the mentality of these group of people and how they engage us. You are the enemy, and they know it. And it's really common sense when you think about it. I mean, if a person oppressed you for from 500 some odd years, and you know the history, or at least you know enough of the history. I'm pretty sure most black people know that we were hung and castrated and we were enslaved by these people. If I was to do a poll today, and you could take your coonest of the coons, even your coonest of the coons would admit, like, well, it's not equal, but you know. So they know they did that to you. You know that they did that to you. Why would a group of people who know they treated you with inequality, they know know they oppressed you, why would they give you equality? Why would they empower a group of people that they have oppressed, not only oppressed, exploited? And this thing gets ugly when you're talking about the history. A lot of people talk about how the women were raped and abused. Really going into the 1960s. When you really think about it. But the hidden history was that they sexually abused the men as well. A very ugly history. So when you really totally understand that and look at it just from just a basic, fundamental, humanistic standpoint, you'll see that why would they give you power? Why would they help empower a group of people that they did all that stuff to? And they know they did that to you, and you know that they were the people who exploited and abused you. So based off of that, you should not expect this beast to give you equality. But going back into the reason why I brought all that up is, simply, they look at this as warfare. So everything is warfare. This is why they want to miseducate your kids. And this is why there's always a little Kim, or what's the name? Glorilla is there now new little Kim? There's always a little Kim Glorilla to indoctrinate your women. There's always a gangster rapper to indoctrinate your young men. And all the while, we are relying on them to provide us with the education. And we're not even teaching our children that they live in a system of white supremacy. We're almost afraid of actually even bringing it up. We feel uncomfortable telling our children that they live under forms of oppression and that these are the people who oppress them. Until we be able to do that, the children will grow up and begin to terrorize us, because subconsciously they're going to know, and the smarter ones consciously know, that there's something wrong with this system. So when you're dealing with the psychology, especially with the young black men, why it's so aggressive and why they're killing each other is because the environment produces a certain type of psychology in men. When there's injustice, there's supposed to be warfare. It's supposed to, so you have aggressive men being molded as a result of the oppression that is being waged onto them systemically. Now, most of us can't articulate how it's being done, but we know that this isn't right. Just take a stroll through the upper middle class white neighborhood and you'll see what I'm talking about. Two totally different environments, two totally different Americas. Who created this situation? And how is it that decades upon decades, it just continues to be the status quo? What type of children are they producing through their educational system? Why are we reliant on them to provide us with the basic necessities on living? Why is it that even in the public schools, they are teaching your children? All this is being done systemically. So once again, going back into the presentation, this man right here, he goes by the name of Thomas H. Huxley, right? Now he's important because although Darwin came up with these theories, and that's even questionable because I think in many ways he was a front man for the Royal Society. The Royal Society was basically a group of British men. As they began to colonize the world, they began to come up with ideas to try to justify the fact that they had the ability to through military might, of course, to colonize these different areas, and they were trying to justify it through science, right? So more than likely he was a front man for the Royal Society, but nevertheless, Huxley, he's important because Charles Darwin, although he came up with the theory allegedly, he was unable to articulate it in a format of debate. So he wasn't able, as what Thomas Huxley was able to do, was debate this theory that he supposedly came up with, right? So this is why he got the term Darwin's bulldog, because he was able to articulate Darwin's points more effectively than Charles Darwin, which I find to be very interesting. Just a little bit of information on him. He was a biologist, and he wrote a very interesting book called Evidence as to Man's Place in Nature. And in that book, he begins to talk about the human element of the Darwinian theory of, the survival of the fittest, or the preservation of the favorite races. Wanted to just make the quote properly. And just more on Thomas Huxley. He was the founder of the X Club, and he was president of the Royal Society, as what I was mentioning a couple of minutes ago. Now, the X Club is a very exclusive club that Thomas Huxley has created, and this was part of a movement, you see, that was designed to begin to implement the Darwinian theory into colleges and universities. So this is where you have a lot of your debates going on, right? And before this, they just believed in the biblical creation story. So they will be challenging biblical scholars, of the time. So this is why you see the theory, Darwin's theory, being the standard today in the colleges and universities. Is because of these group of men. Okay, so the Darwin, Wedgwood, Huxley, and Galton family. So we could actually get into that just by simply going into Francis Galton. Now, Francis Galton, he was the cousin of Charles Darwin, and he was the one who coined the term eugenics. So, as the case with Charles Darwin, how he got his theory from Robert Malthus, Galton is on record stating that he got his theory from his cousin, Charles Darwin. And this says it right here. In his memoirs, Galton recalled that the origin of species, had extinguished his Christian beliefs like a nightmare exposed to the light of day, and had aroused in him a spirit of rebellion. And we know that, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of the Israelites know that, you talk about the spirit of rebellion, and we know that that's Satan. That's the devil. The spirit of rebellion is the devil. Because we know from, just basic, understanding of biblical scriptures that it was Satan who rebelled against the Most High, right? So this is a spirit of rebellion against all ancient authorities whose positive and unauthenticated statements were contradicted by modern science. Darwin inspired Galton to pursue his long-standing interest in the topics of heredity and the improvement of human race. So now you have the movement beginning. Now you have the movement being implemented, and it will be through this term of eugenics, right? So once again, let's dissect this. Extinguish his Christian beliefs, right? This is the beginning of what you see, this science versus religion argument, right? All coming from Eurocentric academia. Now, going back to Robert Malthus, I'm sorry, not Robert Malthus, but Thomas Huxley, right? Darwin's bulldog. Along with the fact that he he coined the term eugenics. Coined the term. That he was the founder of the British Eugenics. British Royal Society, and the founder of the X Club. He coined the term agnostic, right? And this will be just on the fence of atheism. Agnosticism is the view that the existence of God, of the divine, or the supernatural is unknown or unknowable. Pretty much is saying that you cannot prove that God exists. And anybody who grew up in the 80s and 90s and went to school, you will see that your book, I don't know if they still do this, but on your book, it will say physical science, because everything is based off of what you can actually see and prove physically. They leave out the metaphysical, and that gets into spirituality and things of that nature. So they deal specifically with physical science. And he's saying, well, based off of physical science, there is no evidence that God exists, was being suggested. Even though everything is in a divine order, they overlook all these things, and they just saying pretty much from a Eurocentric ontological perspective, Some of his terms are seeing is believing. So he has to see it in order to believe it. There's no evidence because according to him and how they view things, why don't God show himself? This is how they look at things. So this is the beginning of atheism as we know it today. This atheism that attacks religion. All coming together with this Darwinian theory of natural selection. All this is a package deal in terms of what you're seeing. Now, the Huxley family is very important because the Huxleys play a critical role into the evolution of eugenics into what we see today. And what we're going to actually show is how, eugenics has a term, has evolved into the term what we use today as genetics. So when you say the geneticists, if we went back to the 1930s, they would be called a eugenicist. And those are facts. So the Huxley family. Julian Huxley, grandson of Thomas Huxley, that would be Darwin's bulldog. He was an evolutionary biologist and authored over 50 books on evolution and eugenics. Julian Huxley was the first director of UNESCO, United Nations Education, Science, and Cultural Organization. So that's the UN's control over the education, science, and culture of indigenous nations. That's what that actually is saying. You got to decode shit for the layman or the lame nigga mind, right? Julian was vice president and president of the British Eugenics Society. Julian Huxley also coined the phrase transhumanism as a way to disguise eugenics. So we now live in a day now where they're promoting more and more this idea of transhumanism. Do know that this is coming from the minds of the very people that came up with these philosophies about the preservation of the favored races and the ideology of them having to eliminate the lower races for man to progress. So even when you're looking at forms of transhumanism, they got the robots and all that, the cyborgs and the technology being developed, understand that all this is part of a big agenda that transcends centuries. And part of that agenda is the elimination of you. Okay, Julian Huxley received various awards for his efforts in population control. He received the Darwin Medal of the Royal Society, UNESCO's Kalinga Prize, and a special award from the Lasker Foundation in the category of Planned Parenthood and World Population, right? So, Aldous Huxley. Now, even though his brother wrote over 50 books, he was more of the novelist, and many people may be aware of this book because they actually made a movie out of it. And a lot of movies were centered around this book. And the book was entitled Brave New World. Now, in the book, Brave New World, it was talking about a world state where humans were born inside of bottles or test tubes. As the human artificially developed, they were brainwashed into believing in the value of the state through a process called hypnopedia or sleep teaching, right? Humans are then divided into distinct class groups: alphas, betas, gammas, deltas, and epsilon. right? Ironically, the alphas or the elite class fit eugenic standards in terms of height, structure, skin, hair, and eye coloration. The epsilons, being the contradiction to the alphas, were systematically engineered to be less intelligent than the alphas and were created artificially inside of tubes. In other words, they were genetically engineered clones that had no individuality, whose sole purpose was to be slaves for the world state. Very interesting book, right? So you take what is being, done in the mythology of the time, which at that time were books, right? That he would implement certain eugenic philosophical terms within the book. And some things that you see actually is, what was then mythology, what was then science fiction, they're able to do today. Right? So I find it very interesting when it talks about the how the humans are artificially developed or brainwashed into believing in the value of the state and the sleep teaching, right? And you can see this form of sleep teaching being implemented today, so much so that, you can't tell a nigga that America ain't against them. They'll argue down about America being the greatest country in the world, and they would rather be no other place than America. You'll be pulling teeth to try to convince some of these niggas that this shit ain't good. They don't know what you're talking about. I just had a conversation with a brother. He was arguing the fact that he believes that black people are free in the hells of North America. Niggas do not own not a damn thing. And he admits that the white man is the enemy. So your enemy owns everything. You don't own anything. You don't control any institutions of significance. That would be banking, medical, educational. But you think that you are free. Very interesting when you're dealing with the minds of the Negro. Aldous Huxley. He was an advocate of psychedelic drugs and a supporter of the Excellent Institute, where they experiment on the effects of psychedelics and mind control. Aldous' grandfather was Thomas H. Huxley, which we know to be Darwin's bulldog. And he believed that humans were evolving through the use of psychedelic drugs, right? And you get this from a man by the name of Terence McKenna, right? So Terence McKenna was a guy that came up with a theory called the Stone Ape theory. And in the theory, he believes that through the use of psychedelic drugs, the Homo erectus was able to evolve into the Homo sapien by implementing these mushrooms into their diet, right? So he's saying that this evolution, occurred through the use of mushrooms, the Homo erectus into the Homo sapien. This is what he is suggesting. And Aldous Huxley was an advocate of this individual, right? Terence McKenna, right, is on record stating that he was highly influenced by a man by the name of Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, right? And I'm just connecting the dots real quick. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin was a Jesuit priest and a paleontologist and a geologist. He was the author of books The Future of Man and The Phenomenon of Man, where he speaks on the evolution of consciousness. Some points made in his book were used by Terence McKenna's Stone Ape theory, right? He was also a proponent of eugenics and population control using pseudoscience, right? So you have these three individuals, right? Julian Huxley and Pierre Teilhard de Chardin were in constant communication with other exchanging thoughts. and ideas on Darwinian evolution, right? Just to show you that these people are communicating, because this is actually a movement. And this is what I want to kind of reinforce as we move along, that this is a movement that you're talking about. This ain't just, individuals that's doing something because they, want to choose whatever they want to know. No. The reason why his grandsons were heavily involved in eugenics is because he was heavily involved in eugenics and he was passing the torch to his children. Understand that this is a movement. So a lot of times when Black people, right, we allow our children, let them go explore and be what you want to be. Do what you want to do. This is what we do. We've been programmed to let our children operate in a certain type of way. And it's really setting them up for failure because a lot of times we don't even tell them that they live in a system of white supremacy. See? So they're going about in the world really in many ways blind to the reality of the world. And until we get to the point where we're not afraid to tell them that we have a problem, and the problem is white supremacy. So these are some of the things that we need for us to be able to survive within the system of white supremacy. We need you to pick one of these areas and become an expert at it. We live in a very crucial time, you see. And until we have that type of mentality, your children will continue to slaughter each other in the streets and continue to terrorize you while they're doing it because they have no direction. But nevertheless, you can see that these three men were in constant communication. Pierre Tilthard de Chardin, along with Aldous Huxley, that would be the younger brother of Julian Huxley, were members of the same eugenics movement foundation, right? And why is this significant? The Piltdown Man hoax, right? Pierre Tilthard de Chardin was the paleontologist behind the Piltdown Man hoax. So this is the man that falsified the skeletal remains of a suggested intermedium between human and ape, right? So they are willing, this is a very interesting point. They are willing to falsify. This should be a very, very eye-opening point, right? They are willing to falsify skeletal remains. To have a scientific justification of their eugenic agenda. So, based off of that fact, right, we should know that this ain't got a damn thing to do with science. Because if it did, then they would just go about it from a scientific position, meaning that they just would, whatever we dig up and discover, that's what it is. By the mere fact that they are willing to falsify evidences shows that that is not the key point as to why they're doing this thing in the first place. Pierre Tilthard de Chardin, for those who are unaware of what the Piltdown Man hoax was, the Piltdown Man was a paleoanthropological hoax in which bone fragments were presented as the fossilized remains of previous unknown early human. Paleontologists, right? Just for clarificational purposes. A paleontologist is a scientist that studies fossils, right? Paleontology is the scientific study of life that exists prior to and sometimes including the start of the Heliocene epoch, roughly 11,700 years before present. It includes the study of fossils to determine organisms, evolution, and interaction with each other and their environment. So in their environment. So this is what he was supposed to be a doctor of, or a scientist of paleontology, and he's falsifying these skeletal remains. Right? The hoax lasted for 40 years. The hoax lasted for 40 years before it was eventually called out, meaning that they no longer needed to be used as a justification for the eugenic agenda. Let's see. So, evolution for dummies, right? You got Thomas Robert Malthus, right? He influenced Charles Darwin. Once he came up with his theory of evolution, it was Thomas Huxley, the person that coined the term agnostic, which is pretty much suggesting that God doesn't exist, or that there's no evidence that God exists, right? He was Darwin's bulldog. He would pass the legacy on to his grandchildren. That'll be Thomas and Julian Huxley. To further push the eugenic movement, it would be Thomas Huxley. It would be Julian Huxley, that was the author of over 50 books, and he was one of the presidents of the British Eugenics Society. And it would be Julian Huxley that will actually write the book, The Brave New World, which further pushes eugenics and forms of eugenics into the minds of the masses. Then you have Francis Galton, which is the cousin of Charles Darwin. He would be the one who coined the term eugenics. Those two individuals, Julian and Aldous Huxley, will be affiliated with Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who in turn falsified skeletal remains as a way of pushing this whole eugenic agenda. As we showed already, Francis Galton, it was through the works of Charles Darwin in which he got his eugenic theory from. Now, you have two forms of eugenics. You have positive eugenics and you have negative eugenics. Positive eugenics will be the procreation of the people that they consider to be of the favored stock. I guess the logic behind that is that if two people of the favored stock mate, they will in turn produce a child of the favored stock. And negative eugenics would be to eliminate those who are not of that greatest stock, who are of the lower stock. So we have to eliminate those because obviously the lower stock will produce more people of the lower stock. So the positive would be the procreation, the negative will be the elimination. Let's see. Okay, so this is a statement from Francis Galton. In his book, Hereditary Genius, Galton calculated that Black Africans ranked on average 2 grades below whites in natural ability and Australian Aborigines 3. He then goes on to say that the ancient Greeks, particularly the Athenians, were the best race of people, and that the decline of the Athenians was because they did not preserve and produce their superior genetic stock. According to Galton, the Anglo-Saxon race was in the process of making the same mistake as the ancient Greeks. Interesting. I'm trying to remember that damn book. The Bell Curve. There you go. It came to you. The Bell Curve. You see, in the 1990s, they wrote a book called The Bell Curve, and the Bell Curve suggested that on average, black scores average on their citywide tests. They score below average on their citywide tests, and the SATs in comparison to other races, right? They're more likely to score below average, I meant to say. And in the bell curve, it is suggesting that this is based off the genetic makeup of the so-called black people, right? Once again, that will be a modern version of what Francis Galton was suggesting. So you see how they don't use his name anymore because we know what he was about, but they still use his philosophy in terms of what is shaping policy or even how we educate our children. So by the mere fact that they now medicate your children and they give them, they label them ADD, right? You know, understand the system of white supremacy. They'll label your child ADD, right? And they give funding to the school when a child is classified as having a learning disability, right? So, in essence, they underfund the school using property taxes. You send your kid to the public school. They classify them as having a learning disability, right? So when they classify them as having a learning disability, the school then gets grants because they now have to have a special form of education. That will be what we call the LD class, learning disability, back in the day. I don't know what the term is today. They'll put them in the special class. That has become, in many ways, a means of producing more funding for the school. So they are very quick to now label certain individuals as having a learning disability. And a lot of times they're just hyperactive. A lot of times they're just being boys. Now, and the reason why I pointed out boys specifically, black boys are more likely to get this label put on them than any other groups of races or, of boys, and any other group as far as, sexes with the girls. So, and it trickles down. The black girls are more likely to be classified than any other group of girls. So now you're seeing something that's being incentivized, right? This goes back to the writings of Francis Galton, because he calculated that black Africans ranked on average 2 grades below whites in natural ability. In natural ability, I found that to be interesting. And once again, it's this idea of preserving the genetic stock of the Caucasian, or as what he say, the Anglo-Saxon race, by saying that, well, aforetime, the Greeks, the freaks, aforetime, they made the mistake of mixing in with other races, and this led to their fall. Let me remind you, right, that the origin of species by means of natural selection or the preservation of the favored races in the struggle for life. Frances Cress Welsing breaks this whole thing down in her book, The ISIS Papers, where she says that racism is white supremacy. And when you're dealing with the psychology of the European, she's suggesting that they have fear of a black planet. They have fear of a black planet, as what Chuck D put on the title of his album, Fear of the Black Planet. He got it from Frances Cress Welsing theory of color confrontation, racism, white supremacy. And she's saying that, the foundation of racism is the survival strategy of the European, because he knows that genetically speaking, his genetics are recessive to the dominant black gene, meaning that if a white person was to have sex with a black person, that they will produce a colored person. And if this was to go on too much, and them being the minority on the planet to the majority of the world of color, that they will be genetically annihilated. So this is the foundation of racism, according to Frances Cress Welsing theory of color confrontation, racism, white supremacy, right? So she then begins to articulate this thing by even going as far as to show the lynchings of black men and how they used to castrate their private parts. And when you read about the lynchings, you'll see that when they castrate their private parts, they will keep the private parts. It was even stories suggesting that they would take the private parts and put them in jars to preserve the private parts of the black men that they castrated. And this is all being done subconsciously, is what she's saying. And them subconsciously trying to possess the genetic potential or the superior genetic dominant gene. You see, it's a very deep book, ISIS Papers, Keys to the Colors. If you haven't read it, you should definitely purchase that book and read it. But going back to the theory of Charles Darwin and Francis Galton, you see that, you see how it's a justification by suggesting that the Africans are inferior in a lot of ways to the higher races. So that's a key element in the justification to eliminate these groups of people, as what I said earlier, because humanity cannot progress unless we deal with this issue. We all know that it's a pseudoscience, but this is what they're saying, right? So what you begin to see is the implementation, you see, of eugenics. So they could sit back for maybe about close to damn near 100 years philosophizing about stuff before they begin to implement it. And this is one of the reasons why it's a very crucial aspect within the system of white supremacy to use the media and popular culture to condition the people into accepting certain things. That was the purpose of the book Brave New World. See, they were already doing certain sciences that they just wasn't telling us about. So they'll put it in the category of science fiction. So when you're looking at movies like The Purge, and people say, well, yeah, because I know it's part of a whole pseudo thing people say today, like, yeah, one of the things that when people quote movies, I hear that a lot. But the reason why, well, I would say that sometimes when people quote movies, they do be pseudo. But the reason why it is something that you should definitely view, because you got to understand the mind state of what's going on within European psyche. You got to understand that. And when he begins to express things within the media or within popular culture, movies, entertainment, etc., that it's an agenda even behind that. Even things that you think is recreational, that this is how they're, conditioning your mind into accepting certain things a generation from now. See, so what you're beginning to see now is the doomed or the dying race theory, right? So the dying race theory was a pseudoscientific theory that suggests that indigenous nations could not adjust to European colonialism, right? And would eventually die off at the hands of the European colonizer. This theory was created by Darwinian European anthropologists as a way of justifying European expansion, right? The Oxford Handbook of the History of Eugenics. Very good book. If you're into this type of stuff, you should purchase the book. It says one of the main tasks of anthropology was to define and measure civilization and its absence as a justification for imperial expansion, right? The close association that was mooted between civilizations and the modern European colonial impulse was critical to the spread of anthropology through Europe and America, as well as in white settler colonies such as Australia and Canada, struggling with the plight of Aboriginal populations massively displaced by generations of settlers. So that just goes into what I was suggesting before, that once they laid the foundation of justifying the need to encroach upon indigenous nations and usurp their traditional value system and replace it with a Eurocentric form of thinking, and then begin to eliminate those indigenous populations. This was just a means of justifying why that was necessary. So, like I said, we only on 38 slides. So we at 10:15 now. So let me see what's going on with you guys, right? Up in the chat. All right.
I'm here.
Okay, so
That was an excellent presentation too.
yeah. So if there's any questions, what I'm saying, we could deal with the questions. Definitely gotta do a part 2. I'm only on 38 slides, and we about like
If anybody want to come up, y'all welcome to come up and ask questions. I'm gonna drop the link in the chat for everybody. Let me see.
indigenous black. Indigenous, you always say, do you know how old that PowerPoint is, Indigenous Black man? I made that PowerPoint in about maybe 2000. I made this PowerPoint in 2000. This PowerPoint is damn near 10 years old, bro. You're stealing your information. But I used this actually. When I started this PowerPoint, but because I expanded on the PowerPoint, but a lot of the basic things in this PowerPoint I used when I was about to debate Ngozi of the Amara Squad. So that was like 2012, bro. But it's cool. I checked out your I checked out your presentation, and it definitely has some similar things that was being presented today. So yeah, you did good research. Solarmind could definitely make you into a great scholar if you come under my tutelage, brother. But no, though, I think that definitely like minds need to come together and further expound on the information, because steel does sharpen steel. And if y'all got any questions pertaining to the information, because there was a lot being laid on the table, y'all could just feel free to ask me a question, and I'll be if I can answer it, I will. But we could set up a part 2 sometime in the future, because we didn't even get into Nazi Germany and that whole thing. That's a whole crazy thing right there. That's why I wanted to stop it at this point.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. All you gotta do is reach out to Elder Qanath here, set up part 2 with you.
Yeah, no doubt. You got any questions?
Not really. I want to go back and listen to it because I've been in and out doing stuff in my house with my kids, like cooking for them. Had to feed my children and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean,
definitely.
I gotta go back and listen to it because I was back and forth.
Okay. So if it ain't any questions, we could kind of wrap it up. You know what I'm saying? Definitely was appreciate the platform and putting out the information. We live in a serious time, here in the hells of North America. A lot of people are unaware of the severity of what's going on pertaining to the new form of eugenics, which is, what they're doing with the genetics. I think that until we begin to educate ourselves on the history of what led us to this point, then we're going to be kind of left out the loop pertaining to certain new innovative tactics that the beast is going to use to, further his agenda, So,
Right.
With that being said, I appreciate the time and the platform. Shout out to Elder Qanath and brother. What's your name, brother?
Shah Sham.
Shout out to Shar Sham and
Hold on, we got a person just came on. Shalom, Sworthy.
Okay.
Shalom, most I bless. Sworthy. You there?
Hey, Shalom. Can y'all hear me?
Peace. What's going on?
Hey, Shalom. What up, Solarmind?
Peace.
Man, I just wanted to say, brother, very, very powerful video, powerful presentation. Like I said in the chat, our people have to stop being afraid to teach their children about these agendas geared to destroy us, like you were talking about a little earlier in your presentation. And what's interesting about all the stuff that you were bringing out, Tariq Nasheed had this so-called white man come on his platform one time, and he was admitting to the people that the white man will act like he's not racist and act like he actually believes in the Bible just so that he can procreate with white women to bring forth white children that are not admixed with any other groups of people. So everything you said, it was just beyond spot on. And even that white man's testimony proves that this is the subconscious psyche of the so-called white man. This is really how they operate in nature.
Yeah, and we really have to deal with it because I just find it interesting how, with us as a people, we be on point when we dealing with each other. Like in the hood, you see a car pull up, you looking, you don't know the people in the car, you on point. Like just that is almost instinctive that you're on point to the T when it comes to stuff that's in our direct environment. And what I say to people is take that same mentality and deal with it in every aspect of life. That same mentality. So when you see this beast doing something, question it. Well, what is he like? Why is he doing this? Why is it an abortion clinic in these strategic places within the Black community? Why are they so concerned with us procreating? Why is it so easily accessible, these things? And why at the same time we're asking them to help us with the better quality of schools, and it's like pulling teeth to get a little bit of funding. Just certain things that we need to be on point with that we just kind of for whatever reason we just kind of overlook it, and just I don't know, there's just something crazy about that to me.
Hey, Solarmind, let me ask you a question. Do you think epigenetics has a big role in the fact that our people a lot of times don't question anything about these people or fight back when they're clearly attempting to destroy you at every turn?
Yeah, I think it plays a very big role. I mean, when you talk about that, and that's why I kind of briefly touched upon, like, when you talk about what actually happened, and this is why they like to hide the history, you know what I'm saying? Because, and I know I see your guys are, Hebrew Israelites or Israelites. And you see that there's a group of people that take on a mantle of being the people, the chosen people of suffrage. So you see that all these things, are related to each other in one way or another, because when you identify the people that are suffering, you want to identify the chosen people. So this is why they hide the history. And when you look at what actually happened in history, when they, the breaking of the slave, the things that they did to the male in front of the family to destroy the psyche, because society or the natural order of things will be, God, man, woman, and child, right? So in order to usurp that natural hierarchy, right, they had to destroy the first line of defense within us as a people, which would be the Black male. So they would take the Black male and they would humiliate him. You read some things where they just would tie, one leg to a horse and the other leg to the horse, and have them run in opposite directions and rip the man pretty much in half in front of his family. So now the woman psyche is now being adjusted for survival purposes. You can no longer believe in this person to protect you. So yes, this will be now translated on to the children. They actually had like what they call the 100 monkey theory or something like that, where it's like, the 100th monkey makes an adjustment to the environment for the purpose of survival. So if that's the case in primates, then is a more advanced form of that going on in humans. So you see that today, where you see, to a certain extent, our socialization and how we engage each other, far as men and women within the Black community, is unique to any other groups of people. So much so that, society has now placed the Black woman as the protector of the community. She's the strong Black woman. And then they portrayed the black man as really incompetent. And you can see this in the media. They make the man like, pretty much, just slow and pretty much unable to, be a stand-up force and a protector and a provider, right? I mean, even going back to the TV show Good Times, it would be like, even though James, he portrayed to be strong, but he was incapable of providing for his family. And then JJ was a clown. And then it would be the mother, right? She would be relying on the white Jesus to help their situation. This was a common theme within Good Times. So what would normally happen is some type of miracle would happen to solve the problem. It wouldn't be the man solving the problem. Some type of miracle would happen whereas though now the problem is solved. And then, Florida would thank the white Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So this is all being done, and all the way up until, even though, is one of my personally favorite shows, Martin. Martin, he was clowning around. He was a clown, joking, and Gina would be the more stable, work-oriented type of, situation there, and it's like, this is how they portray us as men. And until we, understand that all this is part of an ongoing war. This is warfare to them. Come on, you think that you're going to be sitting in the belly of the beast? This is where they lay their head. This is where he lay his head. You really think that he's just going to be willy-nilly and everything's equal? No. He's going to find a way to systemically keep you at a certain position. Now, you have very excellent black minds that's able to maneuver around and, pick up on what's being done and begin to, elevate themselves within the system. But the system is producing what it's supposed to produce, make no doubt about it, which is the illusion of inclusion and black elimination. While we eliminate the masses, we'll constantly push into your face forms of black success. Some people say this thing is all about money.
Must be the money.
But then you look at what's going on with P. Diddy. Then you look at what's going on with what happened to Bill Cosby.
No Diddy.
And on surface level, you see that, Diddy was a monster. He did a lot of crazy stuff. We knew this about Diddy in the 90s. We knew Diddy was doing all this shit in the 90s. At least I did. So we know ultimately that if we knew about it, they damn sure knew about what Diddy was doing. So my brain computer sees that, well, this is more than just them. They just bringing out all the stuff that he was doing. But for what purpose? Allegedly he was trying to sue this liquor company, and all of a sudden this stuff started coming out. So they looking at it like, now, Diddy, we got all this shit on you. I don't know why you trying to, because he sued them for discrimination. So they say, okay, we protected you for this, this time now. And then, we're going to now let everybody know how you really moving. We're going to put this thing out there. And that's what's going on. So no matter how much money you got is what I'm trying to get at. Bill Cosby, the same thing. Yeah, this ain't about money. This is about power. You can't be free unless you have power. And they understand this fundamental point. And what they do is they miseducate us into thinking that this is a post-racial progressive society and we're all trying to coexist together. And, while all the while you are still serving this cracker.
They portray an illusion of egalitarianism when in reality they're still sitting in the power seat.
Exactly. Facts.
Hey, Most
Facts.
High bless. Sorry, pardon me for interrupting. Most High bless. Hey, man, great class. You know, I didn't get a chance to hear all of it, but very interesting. What you brought out. I know it has to be a part two. You know, that was great. Hey, Swarthy, man, Most High bless to you in the building. How my brother doing?
All right, Shalom, Elder Qanath. Thank you for having me. Peace and grace, Brother Sharsham, Solarmind. I remember when you was throwing them debates way back in the day, man. You had some powerful debaters on your platform. I've always tuned into your work. I've always appreciated your ability to be fair in judging debates and not being biased. And then I always have known you to possess a great deal of knowledge and have a consanguineous bond with Black people and love us, you know, where you don't even allow other groups of people to speak on our problems on platforms. I remember that day you jumped on Vocab Malone and said, look, man, the brothers and sisters in Kemet in Israel, they could battle that out. You ain't got no business up here. So I really appreciate that aspect of you.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember because it was you know, I brought him on and I was asking him a basic question like, well, why are you so worried about, you know, you don't believe that Black people are Israelites. He admitted he don't believe that the Black people are the Israelites. So why are you so worried about what they're doing then? I found that to be interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and it's like, you know, sometimes people act out their white supremacist views and they mask it under other things. And, you know, he was masking it. Oh, we got to bring them the truth. You know, he was like this Christian that was trying to, like, what are you doing? They cool. Like, we don't need you over here. Like, what you talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, and, you know, I'm not an Israelite, but I seen the white supremacist objective within what he was trying to do. And, you know, yeah, I remember that. I recently had him on my platform not too long ago. It was a very benign conversation, though.
The Most High had you watching over us. Yeah, that's okay if you say you ain't an Israelite. I still believe Yahweh had you watching over us.
Well, I would say this, right? I say that I'm being fair to, you know, the believers by saying that I'm not an Israelite because I don't follow all of the things that is necessary to label myself as an Israelite. I do believe that Black people are the Israelites, but, you know, I have certain fundamental things that I disagree with, you know, that would exclude me from kind of labeling myself or speaking as a representative of, you know, the Israelite community. So, you know, that's just my position on that. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, Vocab Malone, man, you know, it's like an energy behind a lot of times when you see something that's being done by Black people or created by Black people. It's always attacked in a way, you know. So that's just another example of that. Yeah. But yeah, if it's not any more questions, I definitely appreciate the platform and the opportunity to come on, and we could set up, you know, another, you know, a future date where we could actually, you know, build some more on this topic. Like I said, man, I'm probably like 150 slides in on that joint, but definitely I want to get into the part where we're talking about the Nazi Germany and how that evolved. What we then called eugenics into what we today call genetics. I was just on Uncle Cat's channel, maybe about a month ago. We was talking about the origins of the AIDS virus, and these people are going with the they going with the you know, the regular story that the, you know, the African monkey and, you know, they ate the monkey and they went over to here and this person had sex with a homosexual and, you know, this whole crazy story, right? And these are supposed to be the scientific people, right? So I showed them an appropriations hearing that was done in 1970 for the creation of immune destroying agents for biological warfare, right? I showed them the document that this is what the Department of Defense was requesting, right? I showed them the fiscal year of where the funding went. I then showed them the scientists that had the funding and what they were doing research on. And what they were doing research on was certain cancers that attack the immune system, right? They turned around and laughed at that. And I was telling you, niggas are under a form of mind control. So you mean to tell me you was willing to believe that these Africans ate a monkey, contracted HIV, traveled over to France, had sex with somebody, that person traveled over to San Francisco, just so happened to be a homosexual, had sex with another person, and this is how AIDS got to America. This is what they're, the official story, right? You're willing to believe that. But when I'm showing you documentation of them saying that they want to create an immune destroying agent for biological warfare, that to them was pseudo. I found that to be very interesting. But yeah. So we'll get into that, the next time I come up here, you know what I'm saying? And once again, I definitely appreciate the time that you guys give me in the platform to, bring this information. So I see Qanath and
no, I'm right here.
I'm right
here. I don't know what happened. Sham dropped off.
Yeah, I'm about to go ahead and fall back myself too, because what I'm saying.
Doubt. No doubt.
But I we'll hook up. I'll holler at you. You know what I'm saying. We could set a date where I could come back on and we could do a part 2. You know what I mean?
No doubt. I didn't get a chance to read the comments, so I don't know if people disagreed or agree with everything you said. But again, if anybody wants to have that sit down or conversation with our dear brother, they're welcome to do that. And if it turns to a debate, we can always take it on the F.O.P.E. Academia Debate League and get some scholars or scholarship to edify our people. I look forward to it, man. And I appreciate everything that you did, brother, coming on the platform to bring out that information. So it was needed. It was needed. And Swarthy, you want to tell people what you're working on right now? Because my dear brother right here, man, is a genius. Right? He's a diamond in the rough.
Shalom, Elder Qanath. Thank you so much, family. Hey, the Elder Qanath, he says that because my dad was a microbiologist and an optical engineer. So my dad used to talk to me about the theory of light traveling at 186,000 miles per second when I was like 4 or 5 years old, trying to watch Batman with some chocolate milk in my hand, like Big Moore was real smart, right? And my pops was a real cool dad. He didn't force microbiology on me. What he would do, Qanath, is because at the time, we were celebrating Christmas and all that stuff. What he would do is he would buy me the Super Nintendo and all the stuff that I wanted. And then he would slide a microscope under the Christmas tree as to say, when you get some time, Reg, go on over there and just think about it for a minute. Right. So Pops was real cool. He didn't really press the biology thing on me, but my grandfather being in the Air Force, I could tell my patrilineage goes back to some very prestigious black men who overcame a lot, even with living in a society that's geared to destroy you.
Hallelujah.
And as far as what I'm working on, family, I do eventually want to get to the point where I start teaching the brothers and sisters how to speak the Hebrew and how to speak the Greek language. And I might pick another variation of Hebrew as well to start doing lessons on so that we can communicate without everybody always understanding what we're saying. So I wanted to go back to some of the languages we spoke in certain times in history And I also wanted to do some thorough investigations of books like Our Hebrew Heritage from Our West African Ancestors. That's a book I recently shared with K. Judah. And I wanted to go into some of the writings of some of these writers from the 1200s, from the 1100s, concerning brothers like Saint Maurice, who had so many images and statues all over Europe that they couldn't whitewash all of his paintings or his statues, so they just had to leave them black. And go into some of our family members that used to rule in different parts of the UK and Spain and Portugal, going into the Black Jews that ruled all over Europe, which is a history that is not only not taught, but it comes under a lot of criticism when you say it out loud, because some people are uncomfortable with the truth of Black monarchs in general, whether you're talking about the Israelites that ruled or whether you're talking about the Black people who were referred to as the ancient people of Kemet. When you talk about Black people and regalness, it makes the world we live in uncomfortable, because the narrative is that we don't come from any form of regalness. So ready to tackle these uncomfortable topics for other people, but obviously for us, it's very inspiring to hear the truth of our ancestors and what they really were about.
Hey man, I know I'm looking forward to it, and you know, everybody know me, man. I love information. You know, I just listened to this radio show in Washington D.C., WOL 1450 on the AM, and I just listened to this guy. It's called himself the Black Eagle, and their slogan is "Information is power." Indeed, 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 it truly is. And I would just say this to my brothers and sisters: don't let people judge you by your cover. Meaning your makeup, whatever you may wear, where you may live, what you drive, your job, right? Because information is power, right? We always say, people say, I got my massa degree. Understand that, massa, his degree. You know, get your own degree. Teach yourself, read, study, analyze. Go into the deep part of it, you know? And then when you get that information, figure out something to do with it. You know, my brother Sword, like I said, he want to teach. So that's the idea to open up a school. And I think that's what's hurting Black people all over the world. We keep learning from our oppressor, the colonizer, instead of opening up our own schools. Homeschool your children, right? And if the parents, if you can't afford to homeschool your children, find somebody like my brother Swarthy, right? Or my brother Solarmind, you know, and let's get this thing moving, man. You know, at the end of the day, man, we all want a legacy, you know, leave something behind. Somebody can remember, watch some old videos, whatever it may be, man. Just leave something behind so our people can get some form of information and know the struggles that our ancestors went through and what we go through. But overstand this, it's not shit we can't do. It's nothing we can't do. Overstand that. Right? And in everything we do, we always successful in it. There's nobody on the earth better than us, smarter than us. Take pride in being Black. Take pride in it, man. So again, Swarthy, my dear brother, thank you. And my brother Sotomayor, thank you. And Shawsham, if you could hear this man in the show with one of my favorite tunes. And looking forward to see y'all again. Y'all want to say something in closing, and we're gonna end the show.
Yeah. I'm just gonna go ahead and drop off. I'm definitely privileged to be on a platform like yours, and looking forward to coming back up.
Oh, thank you, brother. That means a lot to me. But guess what? It's your platform too.
All right,
for real. Right. It's for our people edification. That's what it stands for our people edification. I don't know the shit y'all know. You know, and why, Qanath, why are you cussing? Well, I like cussing. Y'all just mess with y'all. Hey man, Most High bless.
All right,
Most
peace,
High
peace.
bless. All right, Shawsham, man, if you're hearing this, brother, take me out. If not, I'm just gonna shut it down. Just gonna shut it down. Okay.
We not CUC, no, or F.O.P.E, no, or ADUIC, neither. They wanna be like us, you know you're not like us. You not HBG, UIUIC, UGOCC. No, you not like us. No, you not like us. All these camps, we talking about nothing. Why is they front. They never follow commandments, they jump to assumptions. We spinning facts and they run. They wanna be like us, you not HBG. They wanna talk and debate. We already know you gon' lie in they face. Grown ass men be acting like women, and grown ass women be acting like men. Damn, you wanna be like Glorilla? We all know you never stick to a scripture. I'ma start calling y'all brother Nathan. You worshiping idols with Yahweh depictions. Whoever got ears, yeah, I let them hear it. You talking to God like you don't fear him. You about to get burnt if you not serious. Proverbs 3:7, they must be delirious. Disrespecting the tribe like is you fried? They want smoke like you the most high. Stay off the weed, clear your mind. Don't believe what they say, just believe in Yah. C-U-C, or F.O.P.E, or A-D-U-I-C. Neither, they wanna be like us. You know you not like us. You not HBG. U-I-U-I-C. U-G-O-C-C. No, you not like us. Shout out to K. Judah. He the one keeping it real. Y'all run away from my daddy. You acting like he pulling up with a steel. He tryna feed y'all knowledge. You don't wanna eat, you don't want a meal. Y'all be Deuteronomy 28, 48. Y'all still in the field. Y'all be deceivers for real. How you gon' lie to your people and act like you keeping the truth concealed? It's about time that y'all wake up. I've been reading Ezekiel 1 through 3 for real. On the mic since 3 for real. Stop trying to be like us. Not C-U-C, or F.O.P.E, or A-D-U-I-C. Neither, they wanna be like us. You know you not like us. You not HBG. U-I-U-I-C. U-G-O-C-C. No, you not like us.